Black Clover Chapter 360, titled The Unseen World, kicks off with Noelle reeling back with her lance, followed by the most powerful version of her signature spell, Sea Dragon's Roar, that we have ever seen. Clearly augmented by the power of the sea god Leviathan, this watery onslaught surged towards the paladin Acier Silva. Although unable to completely disperse the spell, Acier, while spiraling forward, was able to defend against its might while closing the distance. Excited to kick things up a notch, Acier would call out to her youngest daughter to bring it on, which Noelle had no problem doing, clearly unfazed by the emotional weight of their clash, unlike her siblings. This fight is only just getting started. Based on Noelle's words in the last one, she is expecting all of her siblings to rally behind her and take their mother down together. But besides that, Acier hasn't really had a chance to show off her magic just yet. From what little we know, she can manipulate steel like Noelle manipulates water. We haven't really seen anything like that from her just yet, but according to Mereo Leona, despite her fire magic being super effective against Acier's steel magic, she wasn't able to beat her even a single time. So it must be really impressive. In her prime, Acier was rumored to be the strongest mage in any kingdom. Even after just having Noelle and having to protect two of her kids during her fight, Acier managed to mortally wound Vanica, forcing her to retreat. So hopefully she can live up to all the hype. At the same time, another battle of epic proportions was going on in the middle of the Clover Kingdom. Defending, Yuno in his spirit dive form struggled to brace against the fist of Lucius, who'd managed to send the young mage flying back towards some buildings. From there, the two bounded from point to point, matching each other's speed along the trajectory dictated by Yuno's star magic. Analyzing his opponent, Lucius thought to himself while moving that the combination of wind and star magic made Yuno able to keep up with his own foresight and speed. As suddenly, to appear on the opposite side of his gaze was Yuno, brandishing a sword in the midst of swinging. As to stop the motion of the blade, Lucius grabbed hold of it and looked at his target before shifting all momentum in his favor, slamming Yuno into the side of a brick building as it crumbled due to the force. This was now the end of the line for Yuno. All Lucius needed to do was touch him. Then he'd be able to take control over the boy's soul and win. Being able to turn Yuno into a paladin would be quite the accomplishment, considering he wasn't taken over by an elf during their invasion. And given how powerful he is right now, that would pretty much be an instant game over for the world. But as Lucius reached out, something stopped him. This was Wind Spirit creation magic, Spirit of Notus, an incredible full shield of shimmering power that protected him from the false Wizard King's attack. It was a shield made of gale that repelled all incoming attacks. After it sent Lucius back, the villain's expression changed. He began to question what was going on. What was this strange magic unfamiliar to him? As he thought to himself, Yuno used the opportunity to slash him over the shoulder. This was unexpected. Yuno had gotten even faster. As the two men looked over their shoulders at one another, Yuno thought to himself that he wouldn't be able to last much longer. Bloodied, he'd admitted that he needed to end this fight right here, right now. And now, don't get me wrong, Yuno has been carrying this fight tremendously. His Wizard King level feat at the beginning of the invasion is the only reason the Clover Kingdom has been wiped off the map already. Not only that, but the tremendous amount of mana required for him to run a continuous mana zone, combining his star and wind spirit magic, is obscene. Never Neverland is by far the greatest support spell we have ever seen. Quite frankly, given the fact that it is powering up the magic of literally every magic knight in a radius more than twice as big as the entire Clover Kingdom, where time itself does not pass, if Yuno didn't have to worry about protecting everyone else, Lucius would be in some serious danger. But be that as it may, it is far too soon for Yuno to be winded like this. Last chapter, we pointed out the fact that Lucius has so few paladins in this fight. Instead of pulling up with the 27 previous Wizard Kings or something, he decided to use more sentimental forces like Morgan and Acier. But besides that, our boy Adramelech hasn't made an appearance just yet. But thankfully, this isn't the only side in this conflict with reserved troops. But besides the obvious answer of Asta and the Ryusen 7, who thanks to the 3 days they had left last time we saw them, should be even stronger by now, we haven't gotten the chance to see the Black Bulls in action just yet either. They've all had a year to further refine their magic, and set out to go even further in their efforts to find Asta. Gray, for example, only just managed to get a hold of her transmutation magic at the end of the Spade Kingdom arc, and Yami, who's anatomically more devil than human now, hasn't shown off what he can do. There's also Seke, I guess. As Lucius moved, he thought about how odd this all was. Sifting through countless alternate timelines, Lucius had to admit that this version of Yuno, the one who had grown up in the Clover Kingdom, had worked incredibly hard. But for him to have become this strong was unimaginable. Thinking of another timeline specifically, we get to see a version of Yuno that remained in the Spade Kingdom. One where the rebellion that shifted the course of his entire life never took place. This should have been the peak for him, the pinnacle of his strength across all possible timelines. And even that version of him needed several years to truly master his star magic. But as this Yuno continued to attack him, it became increasingly clear to Lucius that in only just a year and some change, this version had already become as strong as that one. In fact, he corrected himself to say that this one was actually even stronger than that. This was the strongest version of Yuno across all possible realities, and he wasn't even the only one who was odd in this way. The same was the case with Noelle, the youngest child of Royal House Silva. As she clashed against her legendary mage of a mother turned mega powerful paladin, Lucius knew that there didn't exist any such future in which she could ever be this strong. Yet here she was, contracted by a god. Besides those two, there was Royal House Vermilion. He recognized Leona to be a dangerous woman, but across all timelines, she should have been instantly killed by Morris. But thanks to her transcendence into a state extremely close to mana itself and the valiant sacrifices of her comrades, the lioness was still fighting. Her brother Fugelion should have already died and never had the chance to be here at all. Which is crazy, because that means in most timelines, Fugelion actually died against William and Patoli instead of just losing an arm and entering a coma. Even the weakling magical knights should have all been wiped out in mere moments, but they still raged on, ever resisting. As the structures around him were reduced to rubble, Lucius continued to wonder what was going on. Why was everything so different? What was the mysterious variable that his foresight failed to see? Before he could find his answer, Yuno swiftly closed the distance between them, sword drawn. Shocked, Lucius flinched while looking into the eyes of Yuno. Thinking to himself, Yuno reflected on the fact that in the end, it was always Asta who managed to deliver the final blow to their enemies time and time again. Most recently in the case of their battle against Lucifero. As the two overpowered mages collided, Yuno acknowledged how much that reality frustrated him, declaring it to be the reason he would continue to overcome anyone and everyone he wasn't able to handle in the past. And this time, that meant saving the Clover Kingdom and the world from the Dark Wizard King Lucius. And that's when Lucius realized the world itself was the problem. It possessed a future he could not see. And that's because it's a world that is under the influence of Asta. The mere existence of this non-magical anomaly has defied all probability and possibility. This is effectively Asta's world. The profound impact he has had on each and every one of these characters has extended that unpredictability across the board. Remember guys, we still don't know exactly why Asta doesn't have magic. At this point, it's hard to imagine that it was just dumb luck. I mean, his mother had the ability to drain magic from living things, but is it really that simple? From the sound of things, it seems like all those alternate timelines Lucius is aware of fail to include Asta. That could either mean that this is the only Asta possible across all timelines, which doesn't really make sense given how time divergence works, or because Lucius's magic is dependent on the presence of magic in all things, Asta lacking that makes him a complete blind spot. And I mean, Lucius already knew that Asta was a problem. That's why he went after him first and foremost, fighting dirty and quickly. From Lucius's understanding, he managed to purge Asta, the flaw of the world, from existence. Obviously, that didn't actually happen, and instead, Asta was sent to Hino country. But all that aside, I'm willing to bet that simply by virtue of knowing and being inspired by Asta, there will always and forever be a degree of unpredictability to each and every one of the mages he has impacted. Trust me, I know that timelines and such can get really confusing really fast, but just like with every one of these stories, it is important to consider the author's intention. Black Clover is just about as shonen gets. Unless we're talking about his guildmate, Asta's life has nothing to do with luck. Everything he's managed to acquire has been thanks to his own hard work and relentless determination. His lack of magic, the thing that made him different, for the overwhelming majority of his life was seen as a weakness and a flaw. Now it makes him special, and by virtue of simply dedicating himself to his dream, he has enriched the lives of everyone around him, elevating them all to even greater heights. They'd all be really impressive on their own, but by allowing him into their lives, they have been able to become even better. And that is something Lucius can't fathom. His expression was very different now. His victory was no longer assured, and it was clearly getting to him, while Yuno cried out that he would defeat the man no matter who he was. And just like that, he landed a direct blow onto the invader. You guys seem to really want more Black Clover covers from us, so of course, as long as you are letting your enjoyment be known, we will be more than happy to keep the videos coming. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.